Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm back, and this week's video is about passing. I'm going to explain a little bit about what passing is and then get into some tips to help any F to M men looking for some advice on that. So let's get right into it. To start, what is passing? Well, some of us know what it is. There's some of us watching this video that don't, and so I wanted to take the time to actually explain what passing is. Now, within the trans community, when somebody refers to the term passing, they're referring to a person's ability to be perceived as the gender they identify with. So whether that's, F to M, so female to male, or M to F, male to female, that like the person being able to be perceived as that gender is what passing means. And then a little bit past that, passing can also refer to a transgender person's ability to not be perceived as transgender at all, just as the gender they identify with. So passing means, the ability to be perceived how you want to be perceived, according to like the gender that you identify with. Now, not everybody aims to pass, and that's totally cool. There is no right way to do trans. There is no right way to go through your transition, and everybody's very individual. But there are a large majority of people that do want to pass. When I was younger, I was going stealth, so like no one knew I was trans, so passing was a big part of my day-to-day life. There's a bunch of other reasons that certain people decide to want to pass through their day-to-day life. Some is just, self-want, kind of like reason I went, tried to pass when I was younger. I just wanted to be a boy, and I didn't really want to be trans at the time, so a lot of I also just wanted to pass because I wanted to be this person that I was in my head. And so there's sometimes there's just somebody's own wants and needs. And then you have people that have a really bad body dysphoria, so it kind of ties into wants and needs, but it's a little bit different, where it makes someone can feel a little bit more comfortable within their own body because they can look in the mirror and see something that seems a little bit more familiar to what's in their head compared to, this gender that's completely opposite. So that's also why some people pass. But then in some circumstances, some people also choose to pass to avoid harm and violence, because the truth is being trans is not always safe. And I am a positive person, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but the truth is, while trying to be educational, that sometimes people choose to, go after passing out of want to avoid harm and violence. And it's not every situation, but it is in some. So there's plenty of reasons that people can pass or want to pass for different reasons. And so this video today is just some tips to help F to M men through stuff that I used a lot when I was going through high school, when I was going through situations where passing was important to me and I needed some tips. And I didn't really have tips when I was younger, so I thought I'd make a video for any guy that needs it or anybody that's interested, whether it's going back to school or just trying to feel more comfortable on a day-to-day basis. So, let's get started. Alright, so tip one's pretty straightforward. It's buy men's clothes. Well, this seems kind of like a straightforward tip. I wanted to put in this video because especially some people at the beginning of their transition try to use some of their old wardrobe, some of the pieces that are a little bit more masculine, and put it into this new wardrobe that they're wearing as they're transitioning. And while it can work, and while some female clothing items can be made to look more masculine in certain outfits, a lot of the time items, even something as simple as a flannel, is tailored to highlight a lot of the body, parts of the body that trans men specifically are trying to hide, such as boobs, such as ass, such as your curves. So, shopping in the men's section, one, can help with clothes that don't highlight those as much, and two, can actually be a really gender affirming experience if you haven't really done it before, or you're still struggling with that. It is something where, for me at least, shopping in the guy section when I was younger, even to this day, is just a really gender reaffirming experience. So it's something I would recommend, and is my tip one. Alright, my tip number two is binding your chest. I'm sure as a trans man you have probably heard of binding, but if it's beginning of your transition, maybe you haven't started it. If you're looking to pass, or just kind of in general, it helps with a lot of dysphoria. I heavily recommend, you know, finding a binder that fits and works for you. I remember when I first got when I got my first binder, it was a really amazing experience. I also, I have a lot of, I have hips, I have a pretty curvy body, so when I started transitioning, it was something that made me I was very uncomfortable with. And when I went and got my binder, it was even something where like the full shirt binder was able to slim out my hips a bit. So not only did it flatten my chest, it also kind of flattened my hips. And it's something that I wore every single day, and it made me feel more comfortable. So if you don't have a binder, I recommend, you know, investing in a binder. It definitely, like, some of them are a little bit more expensive, around like $40 to $50. I do recommend, you know, buying a couple if you have, you know, the money flow to do that, just so that you can, you know, have a couple like change outs while you're doing laundry and stuff like that. But I know not everybody has that money. Not everybody, you know, even really has the access to binders at all. So with that also being said, I'm going to put a few links below for some companies that are really great at giving back to the community and getting people binders that need them. One of my favorites is Point of Pride, but there's a few other companies that I know as well, and I'll put the links down below to companies that, one, you know, give back and help get some free binders to people that really need them, and then two, some like companies that sell really nice quality binders for the people that can, you know, go afford them and invest into getting a binder. And it's so worth it to invest in something that's going to make you feel comfortable on a regular basis. Tip 3 is layers. It's one of my favorite tips because it's one of the ones I used all the times when I was younger. And instead of like every other video I've seen kind of just talking about the layers that you can use to help out, I actually came up with some examples. So let's get started with those. Alright guys, so number 4 is wearing, you know, a dark t-shirt or a black t-shirt. I say this because when you wear a black or a dark t-shirt, it actually gives you the illusion of having a flatter chest and kind of hides some of your curves. I did this a lot when I was younger, specifically on the days when I was having like pretty bad body dysphoria. It, one, made me feel more comfortable, but two, is a tip for like being able to pass a little bit better because you're hiding your chest and your curves a little bit. And when you pair that up with, you know, like a layer like I was talking about, whether it like is something similar to this outfit or in any of the outfits that you kind of saw just a second ago when I was showing examples of layers, a lot of those I paired up with black t-shirts on purpose to kind of show, even though it's a black t-shirt, you can do so much with an outfit around that. And it's just little tips that you can do if you want to pick up, and that's something that makes you feel more comfortable. But yeah, definitely like darker shirts in general all kind of accomplish that goal of making your chest seem a little bit flatter and hide your curves a little bit. You know, colors aren't the absolute worst, but they will, I think in my experience, they've shown my hips a little bit more. And then, you know, white t-shirts, especially when I was binding, I found that like the binders kind of showed through the white t-shirts sometimes. So I tended to stay away from those while I was binding. But again, everybody has their own individual thing. And, you know, if you like white t-shirts and that's your thing, keep going for it. There's definitely white binders as well that do pair up. And I know like a lot of the times I would also say I was just wearing like a sports shirt when I was younger. So there's a bunch of options. But, you know, just a small tip that you can do and you can take whether you want or not is that, you know, a black t-shirt can make your chest seem a little bit flatter and hide those curves a little bit. Tip 5 is don't go too baggy. So something I did a lot when I was younger, and something a lot of trans people do, is go quite baggy to kind of hide the shape of their body. And it has some logic to that path, but one thing I've noticed throughout my whole experience, and a tip I want to share, is that when you go too baggy, the shirt actually is going to catch like parts of your body you don't really want. When a shirt goes too baggy on me, the first thing it catches is actually my hips, not my shoulders, and it draws more attention to actually parts of my body I don't like. Even being on T for more than 4 years at this point, you know, that's still something where like my hips will still pop out if I wear a shirt that's too baggy. So if baggy is your thing, I would recommend just going like one size bigger. That way it's still baggy and loose, but it still catches your shoulder, giving more of a masculine appeal and not getting so baggy that you get lost in the shirt. Tip 6 is haircut. So this one's a little bit iffy on a tip, to be quite honest. Well, having shorter hair and having a more masculine haircut can help with passing. Haircuts are such an individual like part of someone's like style, and such an individual thing that like it really doesn't matter. Like you can have long hair and you can still be a guy, and you can have short hair and you're still a girl. Like it doesn't define your gender by any means. So of course, do whatever makes you happiest, whatever you feel more comfortable in. With all that being said though, we do live in a society where shorter hair is usually perceived as a more masculine identification. And so if you are going more for passing and you are FTM, I would like, a tip is that you could go get a shorter haircut, and that can help with passing. But like I said, do what you know you want to do your style, be who you are. Like you don't have to be the stereotypical guy just to be like perceived as a guy. But it is just a tip where like it can be helpful for being perceived as just a guy and passing. And with all that being said, about like being who you are, you know, there is also the other side of it where, you know, going to a barber shop and getting a haircut can be a really gender affirming experience, whether at the start of your transition or just throughout it. I know it was for me when I was younger. It was definitely something I liked doing, is going to the barber shop. It really gave me a sense of gender, like a form, like affirmity. It was a gender affirming experience is probably a better way to put that. But definitely something I would recommend if you are going for more of the option of passing. Alright, so my last tip is tip number 7, and that tip is invest the time to find the right pair of pants. It seems like something so small that it doesn't matter, but it can actually go so far in making you feel comfortable on a day-to-day basis. When you take the time to find the right pair of pants, not only can you get a pair of pants that helps with passing, it can also just make you feel comfortable. And what I mean by that is, you know, everybody I think kind of struggles with finding the right pair of pants. And I think that struggle is just kind of a little even harder for trans folk, because you have the struggle of wanting to highlight certain parts of your body and then kind of wanting to hide certain parts of your body. And so with that struggle back and forth, pants shopping in a whole is quite difficult. Finding a pair of pants very individually that works for you can be very time consuming. So my tip is go take a day. Go a full day, go to the mall, and try on a bunch of different pants from a bunch of different brands, because different brands don't fit you differently. And for me, I've learned, you know, over time, Levi's fit me really well. They're what I'm actually wearing right now, and I like them. They fit me really well. They're a slim fit jean that kind of fits me skinny without highlighting everything I don't want. So for me, that's like, it took me a really long time to find those jeans. But you know, like if you're at a point where you're kind of working towards passing as well as working on like body dysphoria, I do really recommend taking that time and investing in yourself to find something you're comfortable in, because it's not a waste of time when at the end of the day you feel better in them. So that's tip number 7 is, you know, invest in yourself. Go get a good pair of jeans, get a pair of jeans that fit you, that you like the way you look in them, and it's gonna be time well spent. It's not gonna be wasted. It's gonna go that extra mile, especially because when you invest in like a good pair of jeans as well, they tend to last a couple of years, so it can be something that makes you feel well for a long amount of time. So that's tip 7. That's all my tips for today. I hope that it was helpful to you guys that were watching for advice on how to pass, and that it was educational for you, of those of you that were watching for more of those educational purposes. And yeah, overall, I hope you guys liked the video. If you guys want more information on passing, I am going to put the link below that I read, or the article that I read to kind of prior to this video. I found it really informative and interesting. So if you want any more information on what the term passing means within the trans community and the kind of struggle with the term passing, it's a very interesting article, so I'll put that in my bio below. As well as I said before, I'll put the link to Point of Pride and other binder companies down below. And the last link I'm going to put in my bio is also the Instagram to Trans Men Society. It's an Instagram page that posts a lot of helpful trans related information. So if you aren't already following them and are trans, it could be a really helpful place to learn a little bit more about dysphoria and tips on how to handle it, as well as kind of give you a sense of community. And for those of you that aren't trans, it's a really good place to just overall get more information and reliable information. So that's all for this video. Like I said, all those links will just be down below. And then yeah, like always guys, it's all love.